searching though I don't know how. There was a time I used to know. I lost my bearings long ago. No, this time it's my imagination, my fading inspiration that dances in my mind. And it's a crime, only my imagination, my own interpretation should lead me down this road, and I know where to go. To find my troubles and
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Argonauts, and welcome, Speculate listeners, to another special Speculate channel Twitch event, episode 8 of Blades in the Dark, the case of the Cindered Seal. My name is Greg. I, of course, am the co-host of Speculate, along with my good friend Mike Underwood, who you'll be hearing more from shortly. I am also, to the folks on my channel, better known as Arvanelleron, and I hope everyone is having a good time and is looking forward to what should be a really fun session today, episode 8 of Blades in the Dark, as I say, the case of the Cindered Seal. Very excited. And huzzah, Rudy Basso. And look at that, with a 315 cheer. First of all, thank you for the cheer, Rudy. Secondly, Rudy Basso is the audio editor for Speculate, the ones responsible for doing all of this stuff. Go meet adjacent party members. So I love that bringing over. Welcome, Rudy. Thank you so much. Good to see you, sir. Rudy is an amazing audio editor, by the way, and you folks should automatically go follow and check him out. You should drop your Twitter link, actually, in Twitch if you can for us, Rudy. But Rudy is good people and has been editing for us for a while, and he's going to be editing this as well in the future. So welcome, everyone from Speculate, and welcome to the audio folks also. There we go, twitter.com/Rudy Basso. Lovely. Yes, go follow that person, because Rudy definitely has good stuff. Good to see you, Rudy. Thank you for the cheer. So yes, we have got this coming up tonight, and I am very excited for it. Before I do that, though, I'm going to be going over a little bit earlier than I normally do to the lovely people, to the wonderful, lovely people over at over the crew that is waiting to be introduced. At which point I'm going to have not one but two announcements that are relevant to both Speculate and this show and this channel. So, but I want to welcome everybody in. Before we go any further, let me remind everyone who is listening that you can support us by checking out speculatesf.com. You can also support us by supporting the Patreon, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think gives us that, patreon.com/speculate, which is what makes it possible for us to pay Rudy, but we need to pay Rudy more, and we need to pay him to do more shows and do all that stuff, but to make that possible, we need more support. So if you are listening and thinking, this is pretty cool, I wonder how I can get more, we have special episodes available for you and special content available only to Patreon subscribers. And you can check that out by looking at patreon.com/speculate. So please consider supporting us over there. As far as my channel is concerned, you can always follow the channel. That is always appreciated. You can check out my YouTube channel, which has all of the previous Speculate Twitch shows that we've done to this point. That's over at !ArvTube. !ArvCord is the Discord channel. !ArvTweets is the Twitter, where people can, using their Twitter, where people can see what I usually do, which is to go live before, actually, announce when I'm going to be going live and talk about a lot of things, including Speculate and various other writing and gaming and streaming and music and family and teaching and occasional politics matters. !ArvTweets for that. And the website for all of this is arvanelleron.com. On the financial side, !ArvTreon is my own Patreon for this channel, which of course support for which I always appreciate. !ArvShop is the merchandise area where you can get stuff for my Infinity and Beyond and for my Adventures in Middle-earth cruise. And let's see, Arv Shop for that. And of course the sub button that we have right near that video window, which allows you to sub to the channel and get those custom sub badges and emotes and so forth that you can use here, there, and everywhere across Twitch. Also, which allows you to get inspirations for the players, which will help in this and other games, tabletop games, during the course of the week. This begins, and then the last thing, quickly, publishing side, !Icarus. My Icarus graphic novel has just been released in retail by Athos Arts. Very excited about it, so please check on the back. There is a blurb from one Mike Underwood and also from Brandon Crilly, who did a review for Blackgate, which was really good. Really excellent review, so we have those on the back. More of those are going to be coming, so any support there would be appreciated. We have big plans, hopefully, going forward for that series. Exclamation Point library is Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment, in digital right now, coming in print soon. And Exclamation Point Greyshade KS is my Greyshade Kickstarter, which is launching February 2nd, 2021 from Clarion Game Studios, and many others. Very excited about that. Last but certainly not least, Exclamation Point BLM, to assert and affirm that Black Lives Matter, because that continues to be important. So I am very excited that we have those links available too, and we're going to continue to push that forward as much as we can. Now, quick note about schedule for the channel. We have got a lot going on this week in the tabletop sphere. After we finish our session tonight, tomorrow we have got Emberwind going on with the Ember crew with John Helfers as your GM. On Tuesday, we have Adventures in Middle-earth. And then in the evening, we have, actually later in the afternoon, we have D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder over on the GOG Twitch channel. And that evening, we have got the Arvocalist, my amazing voiceover team, with Paper Mario, the Origami King, which is going to be a lot of fun. Wednesday night, we've got Community D&D with the Shadow Crew, with Shadowed Mage as your DM and the intrepid adventurers thereby. Then Thursday, we're off. Friday, we have got some awesomeness with Esper Genesis making its triumphant return. Saturday, we have got the conclusion of D&D with Infinity and Beyond Curse of Strahd, which is going to be really cool. And Sunday, last but certainly not least, on Sunday, we have got on Sunday the amazing thing, which I'm about to announce in just a moment, which is a special event. So we got a lot going on. And with all of that said, I'm going to unmute myself and apologize, as I always do, for having interrupted anyone I may accidentally have done. And then I'm going to jump over to this screen to introduce the wonderful people that you see in front of you who have returned like so many blades in the dark. I'm sorry, that's a terrible joke. But that's there. Before I introduce them, though, I do want to make one announcement, which is important both to Speculate in this channel, and then I want to make a channel announcement. So the Speculate announcement is that the gentleman that you see at the top of your screen, Brandon O'Brien, is going to become a third co-host with myself and Mike Underwood of Speculate. So Brandon has become the member of the triumvirate. I'm trying to avoid the notion that this is how Rome fell. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure that the three of us will manage just fine. But anyway, Brandon has joined us. Brandon is obviously good people, is very, very thoughtful. One of the most thoughtful people actually I know in this space, and has been more or less doing this stuff, has not only taken over my channel on Sundays, but seems to have taken over Mike's and my Speculate show, being, responsible for game mastering this lovely crew, and has done a wonderful job with it. So we are very happy to have Brandon with us, and so thank you for jumping on board, Brandon. And also, I want to announce too, and then I'll throw it to you to talk about this and introduce the players. I also want to say thank you to Brandon for that, and also to remind everyone that next week on this very channel at 7 p.m. at 10 a.m. Eastern, we have the Sound Clash the Clampdown fundraising event. I know you're thinking to yourself, man, just when 2020 looked like it was going to just be a disaster, coming out of nowhere, we get a return to sanity in the United States, followed up by an actual fundraising event for Sound Clash. Your cup runneth over. It took a while, but anyway, you may not be as excited as you think, but you should be, because we have multiple tabletop games coming towards you, which will feature some of these lovely people that you see on screen. In fact, does it feature everybody? So everybody on this screen is going to be in this. All of the Sound Clash players are going to be in this. Even people that are not connected with those. Carlos Hernandez and C.S.E. Cooney. Carlos Hernandez of Esper Genesis fame. He's never done anything else. Just that, of course. No one knows him for anything else beyond that. They are going to be here as well. It's going to be an amazing fundraising event. Brandon and I have put things all together. We will have the final schedule locked down for you in the next couple of days. And it is going to be to raise money for Sound Clash the Clampdown, for an introductory video, which we would really love to have, and also to do some audio editing like we do for Speculate. We'd like to be able to do that in a podcast form for Sound Clash the Clampdown also. So that's what we're raising money for. We're very excited for it. It's a one-day only extravaganza, and you will not want to miss it. And Brandon and I will be responsible for streaming during much of it at some point or the other. Mm-hmm. So with that said, yes, go ahead, Brandon. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what we will be playing?
Oh, sure. And well, for that, I'm going to hand things over to Brandon for that. And I'm also going to say hello to my friend Mike again, who is, of course, the co host on this show. And he will introduce himself as a player. But now I am going to hand things over to the capable hands to hands. I'm a writer too. I write the same words in a row for no reason.
This is why
We
we
know how to
revise.
words.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to hand things over to Brandon O'Brien, who's going to talk more about, I guess, Speculate, and then also about the fundraiser and introduce the players. Brandon, floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon. I also know how to words. Um, I'm really glad to finally be a part of Speculate full time, as it were. I've been having a lot of fun playing games with you all, and I really look forward to that continuing. But I also want to talk a great deal about our fundraiser event on the 22nd, because we now have definitely locked in the things that we're going to play, and I think it's really rad. Uh, One of the first things, because it gives me another opportunity to talk about this thing that I have in my hand, which is the Ultimate Micro RPG book, um, which has a game in it that has been written by our Sound Clashly Clampdown cast member Nathan Blades, called On All Frequencies, which is about playing the crew of a radio station after a strange cataclysmic event has knocked out all communication other than radio, which I think is going to be really neat and really funny. Um, we also have a Tales from the Loop game that will be set in the world of Sound Clashly Clampdown, that I think is going to be really neat and really exciting. And last but not least, Carlos Hernandez and CSE Cooney will be joining us for a game of Negocios Infernales, which is obviously the game that they've been working on for maybe almost over a year now, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be, I'm really excited to finally get to see what this game looks like in action. We're going to talk more about the cast later on in the week, but those are the things that we have planned, and I think it's going to be really dope. Um, it will also give you an opportunity to um, get some brief sit down and chat time with all of the players of these games, learn more about the Clampdown as a campaign and Sound Clash as an RPG while I'm still working on it. We're obviously raising funds to increase the production values of that stream, which I think will be really, really cool. Um, and depending on how how much money is raised, you may be able to compel any number of people to decide to rap for you live on stream, and that's definitely going to be perfectly enjoyable for everyone involved. So yeah, please definitely look out for that stream on the 22nd. It's going to be really cool. um but as for this Sunday, we are here for another session of the Case of the Cindered Seal, joined by these lovely people who I'd like to introduce themselves, starting with Mike.
Hey everybody, this is Mike Underwood. I write as Michael R. Underwood. I, with Greg and Brandon, am the third co-host of Speculate. So everybody who is listening once this reaches podcast form, as well as the folks we've been chatting with here in the Twitch chat. My latest book is Annihilation Aria. It is a found family space opera. It's been fun to see it picking up some traction, and I definitely recommend it. It's a good 1-2 punch of space opera adventure with Valerie's book that I'm sure Valerie will tell everybody about in a minute. My pronouns are he, him, and my character Ring Dalmore is the Spider Playbook, and their pronouns are they, them. That's
Nice. Next, Valerie.
I am Valerie Valdes, author of Chilling Effect and Prime Deceptions, which, as noted, pair very well with Mike's book Annihilation Aria. I am also the author of a poem coming out in Uncanny Magazine. It's already out if you buy the issue. Brandon also has a poem in that issue. Mine will be free on the internet in December, I believe. Is yours already out, Brandon, or is yours also coming in December? I forget.
Mine is already out, in
There you go.
fact.
So you can go read Brandon's right now, and you can find me on the internet in random places on Twitter. My pronouns are also she, her. I am playing Skelly, and I am a hound.
Nice. Next, Iori.
Iori Kusano, Clarion West class of 2017. Fiction in Apex and forthcoming from Frozen Wavelets reviews at Strange Horizons. My pronouns are she, they, and I play Of the Flame the Ash, who is using the Lurk playbook, assuming we ever burgle anything.
And last but not least, Jeoi.
Hello, Yoi Gawain Lin. My pronouns are he, they. I am a game writer and play Crossroads, who is, as far as all of you are concerned, made of meat and uses, as far as all of you are concerned, the Whisper playbook.
Thank you for confirming that for us, that you are totally made of meat. So, if I am not mistaken, the last things that happened in that session were as follows. More bird visions, including but not limited to proof that perhaps Runa Casper is not the nice person that everybody thinks that she was. Skelly got some stuff to eat. Skelly put spaghetti in a paper bag and ate it on the roof. Ring.
That's
got...
normal.
Yeah, as you do.
Sometimes you just have pasta in your pocket and you take it to a roof to eat it.
Ring Dalmore spent some training time with some young porters who were eagerly in need of some combat training. And while all of that was happening, Ash and Crossroads were headed back to Ash's shop when they noticed that a window had been broken, Root had been severely injured, and there was a message that was waiting for Ash saying that they had 12 hours to do a thing, and we were about to determine what that thing might be as they took a coach headed in a direction that I cannot recall at the moment. I believe you were headed towards Ring.
Yes, I think we are going to go back and rendezvous with the rest of the crew. Brandon, do you mind just reading the text of that note to me again?
The note was a very large cinder block with a piece of paper written tied to it that read, "Why don't you listen? ? You have 12 hours."
How many exclamation points on the end of that?
No exclamation points. That was all of the
Extra
punctuation. Yeah.
So not an interrobang.
Nope.
And not like 5
yeah.
exclamation points, which is a sure sign of a diseased mind.
I remember
the two
that I
question
read it out
marks.
loud and proved that Crossroads was literate. I hadn't yet decided if that was a thing.
Yeah. Just to clarify, like the level of violence intoned in this message, "don't" does not have an apostrophe.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's that serious. I'm sorry.
That is bad.
Yeah.
Yes, this is definitely something that Ash wants to bring to the rest of the group.
As in you literally carrying the brick.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I mean, she's shoved the brick into her handbag, but she definitely just wants everyone to have a good look at the note.
Fair enough. Okay. So the both of you are in a carriage headed to Ring's general location. I can't remember.
I'm wearing a veiled hat. I remember I'm wearing a veiled hat.
Yes, you
And
are
I'm trying to
sufficiently
cheer.
disguised.
I'm trying to cheer Ash up by pulling it one way and then the other, because when it's over my face, I'm Ring, and when it's not over my face, I'm Skelly. I'm trying to lighten up Ash's mood.
How well is that
Crossroads
working?
is just
Funny.
improvising little dialogues.
Oh.
Ash is like mildly amused by that, but mainly she is kind of in her own head planning ahead on what do I have in the store that I could conceivably pass off as a hull while we're still trying to pass Crossroads off as being a priest hull and therefore not the hull they're looking for.
These aren't the holes you're
So-
looking for.
She's trying to think through decoys, but even though she's been in the city about 5 years, she's having a little trouble working out what's actually going to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because Ash's entire method of pawning random junk off onto the Akarosi has always been, it's an ancient Severosi secret. Because this hull is at least theoretically like made in Duskwall, she's got no clue how to counterfeit a, forgive the term, local product.
Oh, I'm a local product.
This
You're
inspires in me all
artisanal, Crossroads.
Bespoke.
Artisanal bespoke meat. Ah.
so good. This inspires in me all kinds of world building questions about are there hells in Severus? But that's probably for another time. What happens now instead is I'm going to say that while this thought process is taking place, you are actually almost at Ring's house. So like, any other brief interactions that you'd like to have before you're finally kicked out of this carriage should take place now.
Ash reaches into her bag and fishes around a little.
Mhm.
And she comes up with sort of the Severosi equivalent of a juzu. It's not as orderly as a juzu that you would see in a temple or something. It's very clearly homemade. You know, none of the beads are quite the same size. It's a mixture of organic materials. There's, oh, that's a bunch of bone, and not entirely sure what kind of crystal that might have been before, but it's been polished very nicely now. And there is, at the end of it, a slightly crushed feather that's missing a few bits of plume. And she takes Crossroads by the arm and just starts looping that around its wrist and goes, part of the disguise.
Okay.
Okay.
In fact, you need to give me a roll to determine how successful you are in that attempt. So what roll do you think that would have to be?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could actually get my character sheet to load properly, I'd have better odds of answering it, wouldn't I?
I mean, I'm looking at your character
Come on,
sheet
roll
right
20.
now. Yes.
On roll 20, you can do this.
You will be here in a bit. I just saw you actually sign into roll 20. You're here.
You know, I'm actually sort of feeling like this may be a tinker roll.
Yeah.
Why would you tinker with my meat?
Oh god.
Because
so yeah,
there isn't an accessorized roll.
I mean, for the purposes of the construction, I would say that Tinker works better than a lot of other things. So yeah, give me a Tinker roll. Your
Position is
position is risky. I was trying to find an excuse to make it desperate, but it's risky. And your effect is standard.
Please don't make my arm fall off. It's made of meat.
4
4.
is not bad, you know. Um, as you like finally fasten it to Crossroads forearm, you will look back at it and you notice that very obviously to a trained eye, it would not only look terribly forged, it would not only look obviously forged, but it would look like obviously forged by someone who knew what they were doing. Um, but like from afar, it it will definitely hold up. Um, and now you are both. The carriage now stops in front of Ring's front door. Ring, what are you doing when this happens? Where are you when they arrive?
So this is late the night before Ring is training the porters, right?
The night after, yeah.
So the brick was thrown not the day we all got back, but the next day. Because I think Skelly and Ring's downtime was a day after we discovered that that Ash's border had been attacked. Am I remembering correctly?
The way that I remember all of these things taking place is that wait a minute. I'm trying to remember. The way that it had occurred in my brain was you training the porters was like the mid-morning to afternoon of the same evening that Skelly has eaten and Ash and Crossroads had just gotten back to the shop.
Okay, great. Then I think Ring would have spent the afternoon working with the porters, and if it's evening, it's probably maybe like most of a block down the street, but probably sees Crossroads get out of the carriage and wraps up a conversation with somebody who I'll reintroduce as a way of kind of doing some of the upgrades that we talked about. So I think they'd kind of hustle back along the street to kind of intercept the group or to meet them.
Okay, cool.
And kind of hail them and open the door and usher people inside as quick as possible to get off the street.
Mm-hmm. What, just as an idle kind of like narrative question, what does it look like when you're striding towards someone like deliberately? Like
I think because this is Ring's neighborhood, they're not striding through the street like they would kind of almost walk charge down a trench in war.
mm-hmm.
But it is fast, but doesn't look like it's rushing, is how Ring is moving.
Okay, cool. Who notices Ring first?
I would say that if Crossroads was getting out of the carriage first, then Crossroads would see Ring first. And Crossroads would be very excited because it has the veil on over its face, so it's Ring.
Okay. So yeah, your sensorium picks up Ring very eagerly coming towards you both.
Hello. Guess who I am?
Whoever you are, why don't you be who that is inside? And Ring kind of unlocks the door and kind of steps inside and makes room for everybody.
Crossroads is dejected.
Oh, honey.
Oh Lord. While this
Ash
is happening,
stretches up on tiptoe and pats Crossroads on the shoulder before she follows Ring in.
And kind of Ring closes the door behind them and clicks a kind of shoddy lock. I wasn't expecting you just yet. Is everything okay? Should I put on
Ash-
tea or just go to the whiskey?
Whiskey, absolutely.
Okay. And
Definitely
then
sounds like a whiskey evening.
we
And-
see that same kind of pile of whiskey bottles, and Ring reaches in and gets a more full one and sets it on the counter.
Crossroads follows Ring around very, very close behind them because it wants Ring to guess who it is.
And Ash is pulling out the note to show to Ring, unfolding it, smoothing the creases out. For now, she has left the brick in her purse.
Okay.
Did we just leave Root in the carriage?
No, we sent Root home.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Druid went home before you all left.
Okay.
This is
Root
a
wasn't
good time
supposed to be there in the first place.
Oh.
This is a good time to ask. I know for a fact that Skelly is not here yet, but where is Skelly? Is Skelly on the way, or?
Yeah, did the conversation between Ring and Skelly that happened at the end of the last session already happen, or?
I think.
I feel like, yeah, would it have happened and then Skelly left and then these folks arrived and that's where we are now, maybe?
If you want, like, I think one thing we could do is intercut the scene with Skelly doing whatever the legwork is.
Yeah.
So we could start that interleaving by cutting back several hours to probably when the sun is still up, and Skelly and Ring meeting under a rainy eve as like water is kind of pouring down, and they're both like eating out of like wax something, doing kind of scoundrelly shit. Where Ring suggests, if we're going to get anywhere in backtracking this investigation, we need to pull a thread, which means Aldo Booker, who I don't know who that is, or we snatch a blue coat. Now that's inviting trouble, but it might be necessary. I don't know anybody who could do that better, especially not anybody that I could read into any of this bullshit. And you know better than almost anyone what trouble we've gotten ourselves into.
Yep.
Best I can figure, we want someone who's high enough to have heard about this case, but not so high that they bring the whole Imperial Tower down on our head.
Yep. All right.
Find a target, and then when we've all reconvened, we can decide if we want to act on it. Maybe between now and then, somebody can figure out a place where we could bring them. If you can scope a place along the way, that's great. I'll make some inquiries as well.
How about what I'll do is as soon as I got a likely target, I'll send a runner and you send him back and tell me where to take him.
Sounds good. Watch your back.
Okay. I like this a lot. So that happened. Oh God. So I'm going to say this is how that happened. So that took place earlier in the day. Everybody is now here, but there is now a 4-turn clock.
Woohoo.
This clock is find a suitable blue coat.
Is Crossroads going to put its fist through this clock too?
I am
Hopefully
dejected.
not.
Yeah, I mean, so we know that there was an inspector at the funeral, but an inspector is probably not a good idea. So
There was the lady with the ugly shoes.
she was the inspector.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the inspectors are like higher ranking types.
This one inspector would know a great deal of useful information for you, but being an inspector, she would probably bring a great deal of resources to bear in your destruction, as she has already attempted.
Yes, and also would be probably difficult to kidnap, frankly. So,
I mean, nothing is impossible if you try hard enough and with enough guns.
There was the guy that Crossroads half crickets.
Right.
And
Yes.
presumably it's easier to kidnap a half crickets person than a no crickets person.
Which you would be able to identify,
I would,
Skelly,
yes.
because you
And
were
so
there.
that is exactly who I was thinking of, and so I'm glad we're all on that page.
Okay, so for every turn of this clock, I'm going to ask you to roll 2 14 dice. In fact, no, that's not what I'm going to ask you to roll for me. I am going to ask you to roll for me.
I'm hunting. I feel like hunt's appropriate right now.
Yeah, it is hunt. Yeah. So I would like you to give me a hunt roll right now.
Position?
Your position is desperate.
Effect?
Your effect is standard.
Okay. Bonus dice.
You get one bonus die because you already know the physical description of the person that you're looking for.
Yep.
We also
So-
get one from I Hate the Color Blue potentially. Does this count as fighting with or fleeing from the blue coats? I'm not necessarily directly fighting, but maybe a fight may occur.
It
as I'm trying to-
counts.
Does
It
it count
has
for this
no
purpose?
choice but not to. It has no choice but to count. It has to count. And
All right.
also, Mike can assist because of the conversation that took place previously. Does
Right.
Ring want to assist?
I think I probably will. I also want to bring up whether, or want to ask if we can apply dedicated costumer, because if that's one of the upgrades we took, then we could cut back to this flashback and Ring could produce a bundle which is higher quality, like gray and black clothes, which would assist Skelly in stealthing, because dedicated costumer says plus 1d to actions involving stealth or charisma.
Yeah. That would count. So I just want to keep track of the bonus dice that have just occurred.
So I have input 3 bonus dice at present. So
Right.
it is...
So let's count again.
Mhm.
1 bonus die for already recognizing the person.
Mhm.
1 bonus die for the costume.
And 1 bonus die for our crew special ability. I Hate the Color Blue.
Right. And are you also assisting, or are you just relying on the dedicated costume Ring?
I don't know that I would need to give a 4th bonus die. How are you
Cool,
feeling?
because this is
Valerie?
already 5 dice.
Yes. So in theory, like one of them is gonna do
While
it.
this is happening, you have been inspired.
So
What does that mean?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I can't remember the last time that it's happened, so I can't remember what we decided on.
Oh, oh my goodness.
Because is that just a bonus die? Is it improved effect or position?
You know what? I'm going to take note of this so we know that this is the case in the future. You can either increase your position, increase your effect, or add 1 die to your roll of this inspiration.
Okay, I'm gonna say that because I've got 5 dice already, I think I would actually like to increase the effect to great. What does everyone else think?
Yeah, because if you get a crit with great effect, it becomes extreme effect, and you would fill the clock in one roll.
Yeah, it was I was at standard effect, so now I'm at great effect. But it still is good. And so this is desperate, great effect, 3 bonus dice. Anybody else want to throw in, or is I'm trying to think. It's like if I can retroactively do a deal with the devil, maybe then that would be appropriate to just to make sure that this works. Because I feel like if I had to, if it came down to it, I could trade a favor with my enemy who is also a bounty hunter. But that would be if things go wildly wrong.
I mean, first of all, I am not going to encourage you to take a devil's bargain
No,
because
yeah.
that's a lot right now so far.
Right.
So yeah, this works.
All right, let's see let's see how it goes. All right, fingers crossed, everyone. I'm gonna hug my cat for luck. Hold on. All right. 2 5s. So close to a 6.
Where's that 6? That's 4, 5, 1, 2, 5.
Yes.
4 5 1 2 5.
Oh, cat, you helped not at all.
So
all I got for this was covered in cat hair.
A success. I'm gonna say that I've marked one segment of this clock. You notice, first of all, I want to ask, what are you wearing? What is the costume that Ring gave you?
That's a good question. So normally what I would be wearing would be sort of different colors of green, gray, and black, and a greatcoat kind of over it. So I believe my greatcoat has unfortunately been abandoned somewhere. I think I had left it in the Batcave, and so presume then that I'm just wearing what amounts to urban camouflage, but without anything camouflaging my skin necessarily. Though, I mean, possibly I just smeared soot all over myself. So we'll go with that too. This is assuming that I'm engaging in this activity at night in a stealthy way. Okay. Are we in the evening? Are we at night? What is?
I mean, to clarify, in Duskfall, it is always dim.
Well, yeah, I know, but is it full dark at this point, or?
It's. I'm gonna say that at this point in time, you are like bearing down towards evening. At this point in your hunt for this particular blue coat.
Okay. So probably would be starting out with the greatcoat on, with the presumption that she's blending into the crowd more than sort of hiding on rooftops yet. At this point, again, she's potentially near enough to where the blue coat would be expected to report in, potentially wherever the inspectors would be hanging out, which might be a very serious business part of town, actually. I'm trying to pull up the map there. Where are you, Duskwall map? Yeah, because I wouldn't know. Yeah, it's like I wouldn't know which precinct necessarily this one operated out of, and whether. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to look at the map now.
So a lot of the trouble we've gotten into has been in Brightstone. Is that right?
That is true. You've mostly been like crossing borough lines very intensely between Brightstone and Dunslow in particular.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's an answer to this question that does not immediately emerge to me because I can't remember, because I know that there is a
where was Runa's apartment where Crossroads was living?
Runa Runa lived in Brightstone, no?
Okay, so
Yes.
then I think that's where Skelly would start. Skelly would assume that this constable, because they were a regular blue coat and not an inspector, even though they were working with the inspector, they probably would be established in Brightstone somewhere. And so Skelly would then be scouting around different Brightstone precincts, trying to see who's coming and going, to see if she can catch a sight of him.
Okay.
And she would start at whichever one is closest to Runa's apartment.
Mm-hmm. So here is what you notice. There is a very obvious to you stakeout taking place in a building right next to Runa's apartment, where you see that previous blue coat, now plain clothes, he steps out, hails two people on the inside of the house on the other side of the street.
A
And
bunch of amateurs, Jesus.
yeah, and he begins walking towards, where is he headed? You see him walk east, and you are following him walking east.
All right. I send my cat ahead to stay closer than I can, just in case I lose him, so that my cat can come back to me.
Okay.
What's up, Truffle?
So that's happening. But in the experience of everybody else who I'm going to return to, that has already happened. So we're going to return to Ash presenting Ring with a crumpled up piece of paper that reads, what did it say again? Why don't you listen? ? You have 12 hours.
And Ash says, there was also a brick. My boarder might be a little bit concussed. He was lucid. There was blood, but of course there was blood. Head wounds, you know how it is.
Where was this?
My shop.
Why was he back in the shop?
He thought he was being helpful.
Well, this has been a very strange week, so I can understand wanting to hold on to normalcy. This seems like a problem. So thank you for coming to me.
Yes, it is a problem. Do you know how expensive windows are?
Oh, yeah. That's why most of the bars down around where I live just stopped having windows. They just have shutters.
We're a shop. We need windows.
No. Windows they make a lot of sense for you. I'm guessing you want help more with the note than the window. And Ring cracks a smile, like, this is an obvious thing, but I'm going to try to some levity here. Because Ring doesn't know that Crossroads was already doing such a great job with levity.
And Ash just gestures at Crossroads. Yes,
Crossroads
obviously,
is standing behind
the note
Ring.
is priority.
Crossroads is still standing behind Ring, kind of looming very, very close, because Ring hasn't yet answered its question of who am I? So Crossroads is just like,
So you're lurking very well. Does that mean you're Skelly?
now I am. Who am I now?
Did Runa wear a veil when she worked with you?
No. Crossroads kind of swooshes around a little bit.
I'm sorry, Crossroads. This note affects all of us, and I have to admit that I'm more focusing on that puzzle, but not as any disrespect to you. Is that okay?
Oh, okay.
We are all very concerned with the puzzle of, how to keep Crossroads from being stolen or worse.
I've never been stolen before.
And we'd like to keep it that way.
First time for everything.
Crossroads really doesn't think anyone can steal it, but maybe its meat friends are worried about that because they're made of meat. So Crossroads does not object.
So I met with, or I guess if Skelly is here, right, then Ring kind of nods to Skelly and says, "We talked earlier, and Brandon,
Skelly is not here yet.
Skelly is not here yet."
All of
so
this is set up in such a way that Skelly will appear when Skelly is ready to appear.
Okay, great, that works. I talked with Skelly, and she's trying to find a suitable blue coat for us to have a good chat with, and maybe see if we can get off our back, off of our heels on this, which of course doesn't do anything about this. I'm guessing this probably comes from Booker.
My money is on Booker. And as Ash is saying that, she's just processing blue coat, chat, because she knows that Ring's not just going to have one pop over for tea. And now the alarm bells are clanging a little bit.
Crossroads barges into this conversation like, we got the note from a brick.
I'm guessing that the brick was thrown by somebody working for Aldo, like what Ash said. And that means that Aldo seems to be connected possibly with cults. Does that sound remotely possible? Because we've got the blue coats, whatever Runa was doing, there are cults involved. Your distant cousin, Hunger, didn't want to have anything to do with it. I know, not actually a cousin. This is a euphemism. I'm sorry. This is mostly outside of my realm of understanding. Also, what, like, that whiskey thing was kind of annoying, but that's not right. Really terribly relevant. I still haven't slept enough. I'm sorry. So we may have to.
Ash is quietly explaining to Crossroads, just because you're not made of meat and can still move and do things, other things that aren't made of meat don't usually operate under their own control and volition. The brick didn't throw itself. Because Ash is not 100% sure how good Crossroads' grasp on the relative abilities of inorganic matter to move under its own volition are.
Okay.
So Aldo or Aldo's people are coming back sometime before morning.
Apparently so.
One option is that we lay a trap for them. We could possibly even frame them for kidnapping the blue coat if Sally's successful. That might put two enemies at each other's throats, maybe give us some breathing room.
Very briefly, as you say that, because I'm trying to time these things frame-wise, can I have another hunt roll from Skelly?
All right. Here we go.
You still have the one bonus die for recognizing him, and now you have one bonus die for already having a lead on him.
All right. Position is still desperate, or now are
your
we down to risky?
Your position now is controlled, and
Okay.
your effect now is standard.
Okay. And so you said two bonus dice? Okay. All right. I don't suppose I get a bonus die for my pet.
You know what? That counts.
Or would it increase effect?
Yeah, or would it increase effect? Actually, yeah. I don't know.
Right, yeah, no, yeah.
In this case, just like what is happening? Well, okay.
Shuffle increases effect, yeah.
Let me back out then. All right, so risky.
Position control.
Oh, controlled, sorry. Controlled.
Effect, great. And the two bonus dice.
Okay.
Come on, Skelly.
I know. My cats are sleeping. They're not even helping. Oh, got a 6 on that one. So I got a 4, 3, 1, and 6. Woohoo!
6 is
Yes.
very good. Yeah, 6 is very, very good.
Oh, closing in.
So a 6 is 2 segments. So this clock is almost done.
I'm going to just sneak up, hand this dude a taco, and then beat him over the head. That's my plan.
So,
Sorry. Anyway,
so,
levity.
so you are following this guy. Y'all walk a good while until like he stops at a bar in the docks, and sits down. You notice that while not everybody here fits that description, this bar is frequented by bluecoats. There are obviously cops all over this place. The table that he sits beside to interact with two other people, very like tall, lanky, male individual, and like a very sturdy looking woman. Both of them give off big cop energy to you. Almost everybody is plain clothes, but yeah, a couple of people are in their uniform, but like big cop energy. You take
It's
a
like a
table.
miasma.
Yeah, like I get a fog of coppiness.
Like a
You take
big
a table
fart.
right. You take a table right, like behind him, and listen to them like talk like basic cop stuff. They chat for maybe 45 minutes. They
I eat something because I'm there. So, I mean, I know it's going to suck, but it's food.
yeah, it's mess. Uh, the only thing that looks soluble to you when you like check their menu is fish and chips, and the chips are so soggy that they're literally crumbling into like goo as you try to stab them with a fork. It's really not good. But the bear is fine. Um, they have like a round and a half before he gets up and he leaves, and you follow him wherever he is headed. And now we return to the conversation that is presently taking place in Ring's apartment.
And as we cut back, Ash is saying, well, that's a much better plan than what I was starting to come up with, which was figure out which of my mannequins I could pass off as crossroads.
I think all of them.
When it fails to walk on its own, the jig will be up.
So
Well, they don't know that.
one thing that will help is that I talked with an old friend who's now doing quite well for herself as a costumer. She served with me only for a little while, partially hence why she's still alive, unlike most of my squad. And then Ring kind of opens a closet and hands over a similar looking parcel with kind of wrapped in a like nice for being cheap green ribbon, and hands it to Ash, and then pulls out like a fairly gigantic kind of like fantasy version of an e-web harness. So it's like straps from the shoulder, wraps around the center, but it's like sized for a giant, and hands that, or puts that on the table and says, all right, Crossroads, hopefully this will fit you. Ash, yours is a small version of that, plus some clothes that are good for moving. I don't know exactly what we're going to be doing, but this friend is brilliant. Either of these, all of this, if we're going to be criminals, we need to be criminals. And if we're going to be criminals, we need to have the right equipment. We'll be a bit better appointed.
So glad you
And
think
so this is
ahead
me.
about these things.
This is me fictionally expressing the other upgrade that we purchased, which is Thief Rigging, where for the audience, Thief Rigging states you get 2 free load of tools or gear, So that can be subterfuge gear or demolition tools. And so I imagine this is like kind of harness with like straps and clips and things where you can fit gear even with a lighter load and look unassuming, but still be ready to do thief stuff.
Mm-hmm. Which is obviously useful because it means that you can have the equivalent of medium load and still be light.
And so I think Ring maybe helps Crossroads and maybe Ash and Ring help Crossroads put the rigging thing on underneath a coat.
They would both need to be in on it just because his arms are not long enough to go all the way around Crossroads for some of those buckles.
Right.
But when they're done, Crossroads looks like it's about to go fantasy airsofting, and it's adorable.
Like, I'm actually going to say that, like, what occurs to you as you are, like, putting the harness onto Ring is that it would seem like, based on very little description on Ring's part, that this costumer had already thought ahead, and as a result, many of the clips on the harness itself are just like fit just as well onto the bolts and buckles of Crossroads chassis, such that you don't need to apply that much effort at all. It just like clicks on.
After its friends put clothes on it, like Runa used to put clothes on it, Crossroads reaches out and puts a hand on Ring's shoulder and says, "I'm glad to be one of your dead friends."
Duly noted.
I think it may be for the best that you're the only one of my dead friends that I still talk to.
Do you want me to talk more? I can do that. But you're smarter than me, so I don't think I can talk to you that much.
You've got plenty to say and plenty to teach me.
That makes me feel nice.
Glad to hear it. So all of this is going to be very dangerous. And Skelly is in a great deal of danger right now. And so if we're going to make it worth it, we're going to need to do something big.
But the Skelly eating. Anyway, sorry.
Because I did want to return very briefly to
Skelly I was serving that up.
Yeah, I knew. I sensed it. So, Skelly, one more hunt roll, please. Your position is controlled. Your effect is great. And you have one bonus die for literally being this close to the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is the clock already full?
To one more segment.
Was it
on this
one
clock.
tick and then? Because if it was great effect last time, that would be one tick from the first one, reduced effect, and then the second roll was great effect, which should be 3 ticks. Is that right?
Yes.
There's 2. I think you said 2. No.
It's 3 ticks out of 4 so far.
Okay. Yeah. So this would be the last tick.
Yes.
Okay.
Am I still getting a +1 for I hate the color blue or no?
Yes.
So that's 2 bonus die. If I push myself using my focused special ability, would that change my position or?
Focused. You may expend your special armor to resist the consequence of surprise or mental harm. Fear, confusion, losing track of someone, or to push yourself for ranged combat or tracking. Pushing yourself would give you a bonus die. Do you really want to take 2 stress for 1 bonus die?
I I'm gonna have 4 dice, so maybe not. Although,
Yeah,
of
if
course,
you want-
now if I don't succeed, I will be like, it would have been that one last bonus die.
I mean,
If you
I'm not
want an
saying one
assist,
way or
I
the
could
other.
do a foresight assist instead of a push.
So this last segment of the clock, what am I trying to accomplish here? Am I just tracking him to the place where I believe I will be able to grab him, or is the end result of this is going to be that I send the note to Ring to say, I've got him, are we ready? Or
Yes.
okay, so then
The end result of this clock should ideally be you bonk the guy on the head,
okay.
and we
So I
progress
definitely
from there.
don't want to fail at that.
Yeah, you
where
don't. So like, one way or the other, push yourself. Yeah. Do what needs to be done.
I currently have 0 stress, so
Exactly.
You can also shoot for a partial success and then resist any consequences
okay.
and
So
spend
then
stress there instead.
that might be a better idea. So since I already have 4 dice, I will roll them, and then if this goes badly, then I will expend stress too.
Come on, Skelly.
All right.
Skelly.
Yes.
That's a crit, y'all.
652, baby. I definitely just
Nice.
roll up, eating a burrito, and bop the guy over the head. I'm just like, hey, what's up? And he's like, what? Who do I know you? You're like,
Yeah.
So
I
Like
was
burrito in one hand, caution the other.
I was just waiting for a crit. The crit is the experience that I was hoping for on this clock. Because what literally happens is, like, as he gets up from the bar, it is like the equivalent of like minutes to 9 o'clock, maybe. He gets up and he leaves. You get up and you leave, spitting very bad fish and chips out of your mouth as you leave.
why are there peas in this? Who puts peas in chips? This is messed up. I hate this place.
He steps out, you step out. He turns a corner, you turn a corner. You'll continue down this mostly dead street for a couple of blocks. He turns another corner, you turn another corner. Bonk while nobody is looking, and you are already prepared to put him in whatever mode of transportation you have already secured, or just like throw him over Truffle's
I
shoulder.
literally
Truffle's
do
just
one of
going
these
to-
like he had too much to drink, man. You know how it is. We just get him in a carriage and just
Yeah. And at that, so this has happened to successfully let us know that back at Ring's apartment, a message is now on its way to Ring. What is that? How is that message being delivered?
Is it inside a burrito?
No, it's not. I so I grab a runner, and since we were already at the docks, we're actually presumably near where we're supposed to be. So I would be able, I think, to identify somebody that Ring knows, especially one of the kids he just trained, maybe.
Mhm.
I'm familiar with some of the scrubs that run around here, basically, and I would know which one I could slip a coin to with a note and be assured that it's going to get to Ring and not get waylaid somewhere, because you don't mess with Ring. And I've also given you money, and they know that Ring will give them more money when they get there, because that's how Ring operates. So,
Okay.
yep.
So that means then that literally, this is actually going to be really dope. So there is a knock on Ring's door precisely like at the round end of that conversation. And when you get to the door to open it, Ring, it is the one porter that you know by face who did not come to training.
Okay. And so Ring greets them. So, Oh, good to see you.
Hi,
The
boss.
air starts smelling like ozone as Crossroads begins to maybe crickets this person if necessary.
Do you have a message for me?
I do. Someone named Skelcallan wanted me to let you know the body is ready. Have no idea what that means, boss.
It's a surprise party.
Can I come?
The air
Ah.
starts smelling a little bit more like ozone.
Not
I'm
enough cake to go around.
Yeah,
Ash
it's
just yelps from the background.
we only got a small room. You see, a friend of mine is letting us use some storage space in one of the warehouses. If you could go back and tell her to bring it in to the to bring our guest to the second floor entrance at K7 down at the docks. And then Ring slips this this fellow a couple of coin and it's basically like a nice homemade empanada type thing, like the Akarosi equivalent of an empanada. So like somewhere between empanada and pierogi, maybe. And says you should eat more.
Like he's literally already putting it in his mouth. He's like, like
Right.
you could see him like weighing the gold in his hand as if to tell it whether it's real or not. And he leaves. So
I'm
yeah.
happy to use my other downtime action in flashback to acquire asset, which is this warehouse space.
Okay. Because
So
I want to be sure where this is.
Yeah, so I think if we're in the docks area, I said it was K7, so it should probably be close to the water. So I'm thinking, so we've got the map here. Maybe it's in this, it'd be really nice if it was on the edges, but it's probably easier to get something like in the middle, like a block or so from the water. But maybe part of that will be determined by how well I roll, since acquire asset has you hit a certain tier or above, right?
Let
So I think I
me
want
check the rules for acquire assets.
Yeah.
So we can state that aloud.
This is the first set of downtimes, in fact. Acquire assets on 159. Oh, we roll tier. Well, then I may have to put some oomph into that. Roll the cruise tier. The result indicates the quality of the asset. Critical equals tier +2. A 6 equals tier +1. 4 or a 5 is tier no plus or minus. 1 to 3 is tier -1. Some items require a minimum quality result to acquire. To raise the result beyond critical, you may spend 2 coin per +1 tier bonus. So what tier do you think we would need to hit to get access to part of a warehouse for a few hours?
See, in my head, tier 1 is fine. You don't need that much space for this interrogation. In fact, it would probably be more intimidating if you had less.
Yeah, the privacy is the only kind of issue there. So
all that matters is that he wakes up and has no idea where he is, which is like the only quality that I'm attempting to determine. So yeah, I will say that a tier 1 or 2 would be ideal. A tier 1 being it has windows.
Sure. Okay, so if I'm rolling the cruise tier, we are tier 0, is that correct?
That would be correct. Yes, I'm sorry. You're
That's all right.
presently still tier 0.
If I roll poorly, I may spend that coin that we got in order to have things go better. So I'm going to roll 2 dice as a fortune roll, and this is acquire asset. And we're taking the lower of these. So that's a 1, which would be tier -1 from tier 0. So I'm guessing that I will need to spend coin to up that to at least tier 0.
Yikes.
Unless you would like me to be able to have something like weaving the web and using consort give me some kind of bonus here.
Remind me of weaving the web.
Because there's the interactions are tricky. You gain +1d to consort when you gather information on a target for a score. You get +1d to the engagement roll for that operation. So maybe that applies a little bit later. And I could get a bonus die if I use a friend or contact. So I could be doing this through Salia, an information broker, or Erit, a youth.
Wait, that's a thing that I should have considered beforehand. You already technically do have a bonus die. This place is probably August's, or August knows how to access it.
Okay.
So yeah, you.
So I'm happy to re-roll with just 1 die. If we take only the first die instead of the worst of 2 dies, then that would be 5, which would let me spend 2 coin to go up to tier 1 from tier 0, depending on how you'd like to be. I know I didn't do things quite in the right order.
Oh no, it's fine. Roll 1 more die for me.
Sure. I'm just going to do this as roll 1d6 in the chat. Boo.
Still not ideal.
Somebody else could spend a downtime action in trying to do the same thing.
Yeah. Ash should still have 1 downtime action left and theoretically has Doc's access because of the shipping she has to do for work. So
also very valuable, so yes.
If Ring asked her, hey, can you arrange some warehouse space, and didn't actually tell her what it was for yet, she would have just done it.
Right. Yeah, I think that would have been, if you can get exclusive access to a bit of warehouse space for a few hours sometime in the next day, please go ahead and do it. I think it may come in handy.
And Ring would need to be extra specific about how private and accessible it is, because Ash doesn't know if we're just stowing a crate or what.
Yeah, Ring would not pull punches. They'd mention we're thinking about kidnapping a blue coat to interrogate them, so privacy and security is good.
Okay. Now what am I going to roll?
You're going to give me a 2 die fortune roll, just like.
So if does Ash have a contact to use here to go up to 1D instead of 0D?
Let's see. I have Petra, a city clerk, which I imagine might help with some of the paperwork that might go into this.
Okay.
Getting this on perhaps different names and so forth.
Right. So that is 1 die. So you're going to give me a 1 die fortune roll.
Okay, a 1 die fortune roll. No notes. 6.
Fantastic.
Right. So that's how in this flashback, okay, I am going to say, yeah, considering the nature of this information, it would cost neither of you stress for this flashback. Yeah. So how this flashback essentially takes place is Ash, after being given the very vague instruction to source a place, asks about in the city clerk's office on an afternoon where this colleague should be at work but is presently not visible, and then like notices them come out of a back room. um they share pleasantries, and after you ask for this information, they're just like, all right, cool, but don't let anybody know I gave it to you. And when you're done, give me back everything that I need, please. So yeah, you now have a building. You now have like eh, a decently sized warehouse. Like it is almost as big. It is almost as wide, almost as long, um, and not as tall as uh Hunger's apartment complex, and you have the entire building all to yourself. That's how big that building is. That's how successful that role was in the business of acquiring this location. Um, and for these purposes, I will say that Skelly and our still unconscious Bluecoat are already inside whenever anybody else wants to arrive. Which we can very well kind of flash forward to if that works for everybody.
Sounds good.
Mhm.
Okay. So all of you, do you travel by coach? Do you want a coach driver to know? Do you want a carriage driver to know that you are stopping at this place, or are you going to travel more surreptitiously?
Oh,
Yeah,
I would
I'm
actually
skipping.
probably take like a coach to the next neighborhood over and then walk it from there, like get dropped off in front of a restaurant or something and then walk from
Yeah.
the restaurant.
It's the docks, so we could get dropped off a block off, and just kind of maneuver. Do we at some point want to have this be an engagement role?
An engagement role would be ideal, but so obviously this stands out to me as a specific kind of engagement, as a specific kind of plan, um, which is, I mean, in hindsight, it depends on. So this is a conversation I'm going to have with you all. Obviously, social counts because this is technically a connection, whether they want to be your friend or not.
Right. Because the connection is also our group includes a suspect that they want to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Um, you can alternately, under some circumstances that are currently presently unknown to me, attempt a deception plan, but I have no idea what your angle would be. But yeah, I think social makes sense.
Yeah, like I think if we wanted to, if coming into the session we wanted to make the getting the blue coat more of the job, we could have done the engagement role earlier. I think it makes sense to do an engagement role here because this is actively doing crime.
Mm-hmm.
Kidnapping a blue
This could
coat
be
isn't a crime. That's fine.
this could be a stealth plan, because then part of the position is how far along in the process of getting the cop there and getting us there do we get before challenges emerge. But that may put the drama on getting there rather than getting the information.
Yeah, which is what I was also thinking, but would like to avoid. The drama in this scene is very obviously, what will this guy tell you, if anything. Okay. So yeah, I think that's obviously social then.
Yeah.
So let's look at the questions again. Where is the engagement role?
And I'm very
Okay.
glad that Skelly was MVP and already secured the body.
So, the engagement roll starts with 1d for sheer luck. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? Take 1d.
Yeah.
Definitely. Y'all just bonked a blue coat over the head. Um, does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? Take plus 1d. Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? Take minus 1d. I would say plus 1d because I don't think the bluecoats in general or the inspector that this bluecoat was serving under in particular would ever suspect that someone would bonk a bluecoat.
And also seeing the person who almost killed him, crickets him,
Yeah,
is probably going to put him a little ill at ease.
yeah. This is the ballsiest episode of The Fugitive ever. Let's just get in a fight with Babylon and see how much information we can glean. This is a lot.
Mhm.
Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation? Take plus 1d. Are any enemies or rivals interfering in this operation? Take minus 1d.
Is there like a truth serum that my doctor friend could have provided? That seems a stretch, but
I could
That would be a
electrocute him until
stretch.
he tells the truth.
That is technically a thing that you can do, although I will acknowledge, given the track record of your attunement over the campaign thus far, it is much more likely that you will zap this blue coat once and he'll turn into paste. You will gain no information whatsoever.
I will threaten him with being turned into paste.
I mean,
I will tell him
he knows
that
what
I've
that experience would be like.
yeah.
I think we'll get there.
Yeah. So, about this question, my immediate concern is I don't think you are getting any immediate aid or insight more than what has already gotten you to this point. My question in my brain is whether the bluecoats have noticed that he's missing, and I think that the answer is no. So I think that that entire question does not apply so far.
This seems
Right.
like I think that Skelly caught him at the end of his shift, basically.
Yeah.
And so it was basic, like he
Everybody
would have been
expects him
expected.
to be home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. He won't be noticed for a little while. I think we might lose a die for the blue coats being higher tier.
You wait a minute.
Wait, but
Let us
do we
return.
get our plus? We get +1 effect bonus is what it is, and that's with fighting or fleeing. So that's probably not appropriate.
Let me
It might
reassess.
count as other elements under engagement,
Okay.
but it's very much a Brandon judgment call, I think.
Might you repeat that, please?
Oh, under engagement role, there is a thing that says, are there any other elements you want to consider? That's where I prompted the blue
Right.
coats are higher tier. And it might be where I hate the color blue applies if you think it makes sense to give us a bonus here.
Hello, test 122, test 1-2. Are we back on? Are we back on? Check 1, check 2. Yes? Okay. So all right, bear with me just a second, everybody. And Rising Tides, if you could let everybody know, I'm going to put a new Zoom link here in just a minute. I have no idea how long we're going to stay clear of all this. Hi, everybody. I have no idea how long we're going to stay clear of all of this, but we have a tornado warning that just came through on all of our phones right now in the area for another 7 to 10 minutes. So I had warned everyone that was a potential issue, and indeed it happened, but thank God my battery backup is still around, so if we're lucky, we won't lose this permanently. So anyway, I'm going to put this right here in Speculate Chat in just a second here. I have no idea where everyone was. Okay, yeah, just bear with me just 1 second as people join on. Okay. So we're going to gradually bring people in. Step by step, I will admit everybody in. This is like when I'm admitting my students. And then we'll see how long we can keep things going. So everyone can still hear you in chat. I am just bringing everyone back. Yeah, sorry, we had a full blackout for about 10 seconds, but the battery backup kept my OBS running, so the recording is not technically stopped. Hello, so everyone, chat can hear you, so just be aware. And I'm going to move everyone around into the proper spots. And we'll get everyone back underway, and I hope that doesn't happen again, but I can't promise because I don't know. So it is very windy outside.
I hope not deathly windy.
Severe tornado warning was what we just got on the phones. So,
Yike.
And so my office, for the record, is not in the basement. So I was like, well, we're going to see how that all goes.
Please do not get Dorothy'd. Thanks in advance.
Yeah. Missing a stream would be unfortunate, but fine. Missing a
aren't you
person would
supposed
be worse.
to like hunker down in the bathtub during a tornado? I'm pretty sure I read about that once.
Listen, I don't live in the Midwest. How do I know these things? Okay. I think we've got everyone back in their right spots. Okay. I am now going to move away from the windows. I should come there. You don't get tornadoes in Michigan. No, you just get blizzpocalypse. It's climate change, my friend. It's going to happen everywhere. Anyway, my apologies to everybody. I hope that doesn't happen again, but I have no control over it. Brandon, just as a quick check, what do you think about time frame? There's no rush on my end, but I just am curious what you think, so I know, because I'm going to go batten down more of the house.
We should be good for maybe another half an hour.
That's what I thought. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Sorry about that. Everyone, please continue. Nothing happened at all.
Yes. So, just before the tornado decided to give us a commercial break, we had just finally wrapped up engagement. Well, deciding the number of dice for engagement roll, which I think we had closed on 3.
Yeah,
That sounds right.
Yes, that's one for sheer luck, one because it is particularly bold, one for the sheer unexpected vulnerability of attempting to kidnap and interrogate a blue coat, and yeah, so I would like you to give me a 3-die fortune roll.
Is that everybody or just one person?
I would like Ring to roll the dice for me.
Sure. I'm going to roll this from the crew sheet. And the the notes here say cop napping engagement roll, and we got a 6. That's a 3, 4, 6.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
A 6 is very good, obviously.
Okay.
The
You are
universe
in a
wants us to succeed. That's all I'm saying.
you are in a controlled position when the action starts. So I'm just gonna say that um the visual image of how we entered this scene is Ring, Ash, and Crossroads walking into this warehouse in slow motion, very intense music playing non-diegetically in the background, while Skelly is like very idly laying down like a small cadre of tools on a table nearby, and the camera just pans to an obviously very shocked and afraid blue coat who's like looking around like, where the fuck am I had
And
I just came from the bar and suddenly I'm in this place surrounded by um
people
all
in
of
masks.
these people. What's about to happen right now?
Yep. So because we all have fine disguises, part of things pitched here is that we are not presenting ourselves as the group that we are, and that everyone should ask. So I think as the camera's over Ring, at least, they have kind of like the Man in Black from Princess Bride. So like a slightly stiff leather mask that goes across the nose into a hood, like into kind of a bit of cloth that goes over the head, and then a dark hood that goes up. And they're kind of looking much more like a cultist. I don't know if other people want to describe their cool cop kidnapping outfits.
Ash has also embraced like the cultist cloak vibe, but her mask is sculpted leather, full face with, the eye holes, the nose holes, and it's just plain leather. There is nothing painted on it. It's just featureless and creepy.
Crossroads is wearing a burlap sack. Because it has the bird. I don't know what kind of mask would fit over that.
I feel like Skelly should ironically be wearing a crow mask, but that's
Listen, I think that would be a great idea.
yeah, I think if anything, Skelly's wearing probably like a Bauta mask so that she can shove food under it, frankly. That's
Wearing a what mask?
like a Bauta, like the Venetian mask that kind of like goes down and squares off but kind of sticks out a little bit. So
Okay. Excuse me one moment while I silence my phone. I forgot that I set an alarm for 10 p.m. for no reason whatsoever. Right, so you all approach this very frightened cop sitting like in the middle of this empty warehouse. He's gagged, his hands and legs are bound to the chair that he's sitting in. He's like looking very intensely at you all. What is your first move?
If it's okay, I'd like to suggest that that Skelly had hooded the cop, and the cop still has a hood on and probably knows that there's people, so that then somebody like Skelly, if you want to do it, somebody can rip the hood off and we can be standing there looking intimidating and just start laying into him.
perfect.
It works for me.
And kind of Ring leans forward and speaks not in their normal voice. So normally I do kind of low and fairly monotone for Ring. I'm going to try and remember this, but diegetically, Ring is falsifying a character voice here. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Like, you took the wrong turn. You're here to talk to us. You're going to give us some information that we need. And then, if you do it right, you will get to forget this day and go on with your life. But you're going to need to do a really good job. Okay?
Crossroads is super alarmed right now.
In all fairness, Ash is a little freaked out by this too.
The air starts smelling like ozone.
At which point, Ash like puts her hand on Crossroads' arm and starts kind of just patting frantically in an attempt to calm it down.
Oh, okay.
She's so bad at it.
Crossroads feels the pat and is like, okay, that's normal. Then Ring is weird. Filing that away.
We are the strange friends.
They don't
This
call
is
us the normal
indeed
friends.
strange. So, like, this guy is looking at you, like, very, very intensely. He's like, in information?
Yes, so my sources have told me that you are participating in investigation of the Cindered seal, and we really would appreciate it if you'd let us know basically everything that you know about that and what you and your associates are doing. And again, if you do a good job, you can forget tonight.
It's us. Hold on. This I have nothing to do with the seal. That's the boss's shit. I'm just doing my job. Someone died. I was asked to do the thing where you find out who did the killing with the stabbing and the the seal. Every time I hear about this goddamn seal, something happens. I don't think I have anything for you. If you I will forget that I was. Just let me go. I'll stop investigating the whole thing. I don't
Ellie
know.
just gently lays a hand on the back of the guy's neck.
He stiffens and gets immediately very silent.
Skelly has big hands.
So I want to use a move here, and I haven't decided whether I want it to be study to tell whether he's lying or command to force him to spill the beans. I feel like I'm in a better position to command because we have his life in our hands, and he's probably very scared.
I mean, he is indeed very frightened.
There.
So I think, what would my position be to command him to spill his beans?
This is not a euphemism for urinate.
Right. So basically, what Ring is pushing for is, this guy says he doesn't have much, but I'm fairly certain that he knows more, and that if I get him the right kind of scared, he will just start blathering, and then I can figure out whether any of that information is real.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that would. I mean, in terms of a resolve action in that moment, it would definitely be command.
So what would I guess I started in a controlled position because of the engagement. What would the effect be here?
The effect would very obviously be great.
Can Skelly give any kind of an assist?
I would love an assist. I think you being intimidating, especially standing behind him, would probably help, right?
Yeah. Just Skelly can just start squeezing a little.
I mean, actively being in danger, it does indeed assist in the act of threatening someone. And a reminder, of course, that Can't Fool Me is your crew ability that is available to you at any point in time.
Right. Oh, yes.
Ash is hanging back a little because she's just bewildered. This is not how something like this would be handled in her culture. Because in Severosi culture, when you want to find something out from someone, you pretend you're friends and you get them really, really drunk.
Yeah,
She's not really used to interrogation via violence and has a couple doubts about it, whether or not it's going to be effective.
In fairness, if you get to the actual violence part, the interrogation's not really going well, so.
right. Interrogation can be effective. Torture is not.
No,
Yeah.
no.
For all intents and purposes, no violence has taken place yet.
None whatsoever.
So if can't fool me applies here, and this is a gather information, then I will definitely myself, and I can push myself to tell when someone is lying, which maybe increases my effect or whatever. And I'm happy to spend the stress just on that rather than on the bonus die.
Well, I mean, your effect is already great as it is, so you don't need to do any of these things now. I just wanted to point out that that was a thing that you had available to you at some point.
Sure, that's true.
If I give an assist, am I marking 1 stress, 2 stress?
Should be just 1.
1, okay.
Yeah, 1.
So
But
I
that
will
assist
push.
would give you an extra die.
Okay, I'm gonna just push for an extra die then. So I have 1 from my command, 1 from assist, and 1 from a push. So that's gonna be a 3 die command, controlled. Great. Come on, dice. That's a 6.
A 6.
Yakasha.
Okay, so like he has stopped fidgeting at this point, and at this point it's just like looking like intensely at you, eyes very wide. And like the conclusion that he has come to as a result of everybody's very cult-like attire is, what is the matter with this accursed seal? Why does everybody want it? Boss just asked me to make sure that, like, just to help her get it from Runa. That's it. That's all I was supposed to do. And then she died, and boss was like, we'll just squeeze the other one for it. And then and then the damned hull showed up at the funeral, and suddenly I hear that the whole plan is going in overdrive, under the assumption that maybe we may be able to get the seal that day and never have to think about all of the other people who want it or whatever. I don't even know what the seal does. All I know is she thought that Runa would have it, and then suddenly I'm posted outside like rich bankers' doors and questioning random Severosi on the street. I don't get it. I thought we had we forgot, like, the gods are called forgotten for a reason. Maybe we're not supposed to know this thing. Maybe we're not supposed to care about this thing. And now I'm here, and you all. And like he looks down and like he's like visibly crying, and he's like, I don't want anything to do with this. I'm good. I've heard what this shit can do. I'm fine. I don't need this. I don't know what I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
Ash says, doing her best to do a character voice, the trouble with forgotten gods is that they do not forget you.
And like his head turns to you very staccato. He's like, this is none of my business. I don't want it. You hear? It's all the boss. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm all right. I don't need to know any of this anymore. If you could literally clean my brain of these thoughts, I'd be fine. I think it.
I'd be very happy to assist you in emptying your mind of all these details.
Please.
Which banker? And basically, Ring is going to start getting very specific details out of this cop. Like which banker at what time, which Severosi did you talk to, what did you ask them, and kind of debriefing them like they were an intelligence source, basically. The way that they would debrief a private or whatever that had been sent off to do recon or some kind of spy shit during the war.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course Ring wasn't just a random sergeant. They had to do a lot of shit.
I'd like to specify that when the cop said that the hole showed up, the air definitely started smelling a lot like ozone. And Crossroads is definitely gearing itself up to attune right through the dude's brain and wipe his sad, sad head empty of all thoughts, crickets, curtains.
Duly noted.
If somebody else wants to make a move, I do have those free assists. I don't know how much more we can get out of this guy. I do have slumber essence, so we can knock him out into a deep sleep when we're done. But I want to make room for other people to make moves here if you have a different approach that you want to take.
Well, unfortunately, Crossroads probably going to take that choice off the table.
Well, there's the question of
hang on real quick.
Yeah.
Out of character, what are the mechanics on slumber essence? Because if we have the ability to knock him out quick, wake him back up quickly, and convince him that much more time has passed than he thinks it is, that might be a useful psychological trick.
I don't know if we
So
need it
we
at this
are
point.
torturing him after all.
Yeah, no,
then.
it seems like he's already spilling his guts.
Is gaslighting people about time technically torture?
I think so.
Let me ask 2020 about that.
I think so. Blades in the Dark is not equipped to answer questions of what counts as mental abuse, but
so yeah, Brandon, I'm happy to make another move or to have one of the other characters make a move. I feel like we can do that if possible, but Ring would like to have some details so that then as we as the group have more things to follow forward in terms of the investigation. I'm happy to push myself to activate Can't Fool Me to get some other bit of information if you feel that that would be appropriate.
Skelly doesn't know how to do voices, so Skelly's not going to talk.
right. So here are all the things that I'm. Here are all of the things that. So you are already in a position to gain all the information that you need. All of the information that is relative to the questions that you've already asked. So, he slowly turns back to Ring and says, so the boss only gave me a handful of instructions at a time, okay? When we thought Runa had the seal, we checked Runa. When we thought the friend had killed Runa, we thought that the seal was still in the apartment. I mean, in hindsight, I guess I thought. I don't think we ever spoke about who, that's a whole other story. We never actually gathered any evidence about Runa's death. We are still moving by what we can see in the light, I guess. But after that, there was this one brief moment in time when boss just asked me to check if any Severosian Dunslow would know anything more about the seal. Then I get asked if I want to go undercover as a bodyguard for some booker guy at a gathering in God, where was I even? I've seen this guy so often in the last what week and a half. Um, the last place, the last place I ran into him was White Crown. They needed me to do some bodyguard stuff, but I was the only cop there. The rest of the like every other blue coat I asked doesn't even know that boss has been asking me to do these things. All I know about this mess is that Runa had a thing, died, and the thing disappeared. And I just know that because boss told me. If I could not know it, I'd be glad to, because every time I ask a question about it, I either get scarred all the way across my arm, or I get in a random fist fight with like 14-year-old Severosi on the street and lose. So I'm fine to never have to think about this again.
And does he spill the bit about which specific bank and what time?
Is that like an obvious question that you ask him? I just
Yeah.
know that Booker is into money. I'm making an assumption, I guess. The guy's rolling in coin. I think he has maybe a house in every borough even. I've met him in Brightstone. I've met him in White Crown. I think. Wait a minute. Was that Six Towers place also his? Highly doubtful. I know he has a place in Silkshore and I haven't even seen it. Uh, he he moves a lot of paper, or knows somebody who can move a lot of paper for him. I was getting tips bigger than my eyeballs just being in the same company as him. I it has to be. You know what I think? If I'm being absolutely honest, I think all of this wildness is just so someone can add a goddamn forgotten heirloom to their like home museum or some mess. And that's not what I got. That's not what I signed on for. I'm supposed to be like doing good work, right? Right? I'm supposed to be like keeping the streets safe, aren't I? And now what am I what's going on in my
You're a
life? I think
gangster, honey. The Bluecoats are a gang. Don't pretend that there's anything different. You just have the state behind you. You have the immortal emperor saying, yes, you are my pets. Go forth and do my work. Isn't that so wonderful for you? Do you feel good about it?
but I do make some people's lives better, don't I? Like when people get beat up, when people get assaulted, when people get robbed. I am doing
Honey,
Gentle
every
death
gang
pressure.
looks out after their own. You don't keep your turf if you don't look after your people. You just have nicer uniforms.
well, that sure is a lot to think about.
And Ash is still in
And-
creepy cultist mode, and she leans in and says, "You are like us. Your god is law. Your god is as false as any other."
And if nobody else has anything for the scene, I think we could put the hood back on and knock him out with the sleep essence.
If, well, as soon as the hood goes on, Crossroads is like, aha, that's my turn, and electrocutes the dude to murder him.
after the others step away from him, right?
Okay, so I'm gonna say, just for the purposes of not having you waste sleep essence on someone who may or may not mere seconds afterward just die. That before that happens, you all just notice the smell of ozone in the air and just all of you like in unison, in like a very cartoonish unison, take one skip backwards. And Crossroads, I will need you to roll a tune.
Okay.
Your
So
position is risky and your effect
Now-
is great.
Is there a substantially bad consequence for this police officer vanishing entirely, or?
because I hate the color blue, do I get +1 effect bonus?
The effect is already great.
Oh no!
Okay.
We've been rolling so well tonight. This can
You get
only
a
end in
bonus
tears.
die.
Okay.
Oh, do you have to call it a die right now?
Okay, anyway, here we go.
Oh wait, no, you already have another bonus die. You have 2 bonus dice.
2 bonus dice? Okay, so, all right.
Please roll good.
Oh,
3,
Oh,
1, 4, 2, 1.
Not so great.
well, half crickets again.
But I already crickets his other half.
Oh
so
my
do I
goodness.
full crickets
Oh my
this
goodness.
time?
Like, if you're going to kill a cop, make it be purposeful every single time.
Oh.
So,
Was there at least enough juice behind this electrocution to maybe wipe his brain the way he specifically requested?
Oh.
Is
Well,
the cop
I
at
was
least going to
aiming
get
for
what
his
he
head.
wanted today?
I was definitely aiming for his head. Because he wanted his brain to be empty. So Crossroads is doing that.
That would do it.
right. So,
Yikes.
Is there a he literally requested this bonus?
so Crossroads
Mhm.
thinks very intensely about like what electroplasm needs to do in its material form in order to strike someone in the brain and wipe their brain clean. And a bolt of electroplasm flies from the beak into this cop's head. But because the chair that he's sitting on is made out of metal, it strikes the edge of the chair first and goes all the way down the other arm. And then down his leg and refuses to ground, such that when it goes back up, like he briefly goes into shock and then just nods forward unconscious. Crossroads, because you have a sensorium, you can tell that he is still alive. In what state he might be in, you will never be able to tell.
He's still alive. I can fix that if you want.
It'll cause less trouble for us if we leave him alive. We've arranged it so that he shouldn't be able to track this back to us, but this is a decision we should make together. Skelly?
I know places where bodies can be hidden.
We're a block from the water. If
Are
go
we
that
putting
way.
him in the water?
We have options. Ash?
You
This
know,
is,
I think we
this
can
has
leave
come
him
for
in
you
some.
and yours more than anyone.
Could we use them later?
Ash is considering it because she feels that there may be later utility to having this particular cop alive. You know, one who's already scared of them and will have a reason to continue being scared.
Versus,
So-
is there something he could blab that would put us in bigger jeopardy versus us being suspicious because he's disappeared?
The
Obviously,
only
the
thing
only
that I
thing
think is really suspicious is if he remembers he was electrocuted, that will point at us. We're the only team in the city who goes around electrocuting people.
Yeah, there are others who can do that. It probably, like, mechanically, if somebody dies, there's always more heat for
He
a
also
score.
frankly had a hood on, so he doesn't know that he got electrocuted. Like, it could have been any number of things.
Yes, I'm sure many experiences feel similar to electrocution.
Well, he didn't see
You'd
it
be
come
surprised.
out of my face. That's the
Um,
important thing.
Yeah, do we want to evaporate him, dump him into the water? Do we want to, because the thing that Ring was thinking earlier was pin this kidnapping on Aldo. That may be harder based on the way that he was blabbing, because we do still have to deal with probably Booker and the brick and whatever comes with that.
Could we pin it on the Severosi, maybe? Like hunger?
I would prefer not to. I think my vote is to dump him on the beach between the tide lines and let destiny take its course. If we put him between the tide lines, we can't say we didn't give him a chance.
This all sounds very complicated.
We could test his theory that somebody might care about him.
Crossroads looks at Ring. You're the smartest one. You pick.
I don't know about smartest.
You
But I need-
use all these words and things.
You grow up in Duskwall, and you learn that to get by in this city, everybody's a little bit a criminal.
See, I didn't know what that meant, so you should pick.
I want to say right here that there are two ways that we can progress from this point onward, given the time, which is literally either we can have a vote out of character right now, or we can agree that we will progress from next session with an understanding that whatever decision we ultimately make will have happened off screen before the action of the next session starts, which gives you days to determine whether we really want to kill a man.
Yeah, no, I will say, out of character, I think that Ash's plan has the most poetic justice and is sort of like, you know, if what we're really dealing with at this point is some sort of massive contest between gods and we're one of the pawns on the playing field, so to speak, then letting those gods decide essentially what happens to this dude. There's a little something there. I don't know. That's out of character.
I'm fine with that, or with just calling the session here and then kind of revealing what's happened when we start next episode.
Yeah. I also just like the narrative action of this episode ending with what's going to happen to the cop that you learn happened off screen next session.
Okay. Jeoi?
Yeah, I think eventually Crossroads would come around to Ash's idea, just because it would look at Ash and say, what would fake me do?
Yeah, I think, you know, fake Crossroads of the sky, the gloaming, would also be down with just leaving this guy on the beach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
I think.
And then Crossroads would look at Ring and say, fake me would like to leave him on the beach.
Well, then his life will be in the gods' hands, and we'll see which of them show up.
Crossroads eagerly pats Ash's arm, like, see, I did such a great job being fake me right there.
All right, I got.
And Ash is just sort of leaning against Crossroads now, thinking about how, like, yeah, this definitely makes us look like Severosi cultists. Because the main justice system in Severosi culture is go, okay, you did something bad. Here's a week's worth of food. You're on your own. Go into the wilderness. Let's see if God wants you to live. Let's find out which gods want you to live.
Cool. I'm good calling it there.
Okay. And with that, we have just concluded yet another session of the Case of the Cindered Seal, everyone.
Heck yeah.
Thank you very much for, oh my god, we really just bonked that blue coat over the head. Kidnapped him and then nearly fried his whole brain. I really enjoyed this session. This was a lot. I can't wait to see where we go from this point now. Because now it seems like your goal has been very immediately directed towards the blue coats. Although it does bear mentioning that it is still minus 12 hours, minus a number of non-12 hours since Ash got that ominous message, and that would probably deserve some response at some point.
Yeah, we're going to need to do the math on 12 minus n.
Yeah. I will help
Solve
you with
for
that
n.
math. Until that next session, of course, this is a good opportunity for you all to reintroduce yourselves, to tell the chat who you are and what you are working on, starting with Mike.
Sure thing. Again, I'm Mike. I write as Michael R. Underwood. I have a Patreon with essays about the business of publishing, craft of writing, some stuff about tabletop role-playing games. Recent bits include using the faction system from Blades in the Dark to help you with your plotting, or using Power by the Apocalypse clocks to kind of do your pacing and other stuff, kind of connecting the different fields and what they do. And you can find that at patreon.com/Michael R. Underwood. That's R, just the little letter R. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Mike R. Underwood. Thanks.
Nice. Next, Valerie.
Yep, I'm Valerie Valdes, author of Chilling Effect and Prime Deceptions, and the forthcoming Fault Tolerance, which should be out in 2 years, sadly. Working on it right now. I've also got poetry in Uncanny Magazine, stories in Nightmare and other places, and you can find me on Twitter at Valerie Valdes or at valerievaldez.com.
Nice. Iori.
Iori Kusano, Clarion West Class of 2017. Fiction in Apex and forthcoming from Frozen Wavelets. Nonfiction in Uncanny, reviews in Strange Horizons. Find me on Twitter at Iori Kusano.
And Jeoi.
Jeoi Gawain Lin, a game writer and completely, totally, and utterly made of meat, plays a character who is made of meat. You can find me on Twitter at This Is My Design.
And I have been your game master, Brandon O'Brien. I'm a writer, a poet, and game designer from Trinidad and Tobago. The Fugitives crew sheet that these players have been using for the Case of the Cindered Seal was made by me, and you can find it on my itch.io page, alongside a great deal of other very interesting things. And you can find me on Twitter and anywhere else on the internet at The Rising Tides. That's TITHES. Thank you so very much for joining us for this session.
Don't forget to come back next week for the Soundclash fundraiser.
Yes, please. It's going to be really cool. Everyone here will be playing. The entire cast of Soundclash The Clampdown, which I also run on this channel on Sundays, will also be there. It's going to be really cool. We get to play neat games, talk about the value that we find in Soundclash as a system and The Clampdown as a campaign, and do weird things that may or may not involve music. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So with that, we should summon Greg back into the ether.
I'm here.
Greg.
Yeah, I'm here. I have been resummoned, and I'm glad that I do think it's interesting that I don't remember if this happened. There was one other time I think I was playing with you were all playing, and I had another power thing because the tech was installing my new stove. Right, that happened with you, right?
Yes.
And I don't remember whether you all murdered someone that day or did something terrible to someone that day too. But I'm wondering if there's just a relationship
wow.
between the
That
power
was
goes
the-
out in my house and then you're like, now I cricket somebody. Like, is that how this
That
goes
was
down?
the-
Like, really?
That was the episode when Crossroads crickets that guy in the
Right? That's
by
what I'm
the
talking
docks,
about.
and then we didn't learn that
Wait.
we didn't learn that that guy was a cop until after he was already dead.
So I don't know if like Jeoi's making some commentary, like, all right, listen, Arv, all right, like if this is how you go, then bam, crickets. Like that's how.
Right. And
Stay
energy can
online
either
or the
be-
cops die.
Yeah, energy can't be created or destroyed. So
No,
when the power
exactly.
goes out in your house, the electricity has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So if that
That is
ever
so
happens
good.
again,
Yeah.
so when I got the warning on my phone that was like warning, tornado warning, I'm like, no, crickets warning is what this ought to read because right now that could happen at any moment. Anyway, it was a fun session. I am sorry again that the power blacked out, but the line has passed. There is no longer a tornado warning around us, so we didn't lose all power. It could have been
I'm
it could have been
glad
worse.
that you didn't
So
get Wizard of Oz.
yes, we did not go to Kansas today. But fun session
Worse
as
than
always.
Oz, definitely, right? No?
That's true, actually. That's true. But yeah, it sounds like it was an excellent session. So thank you all, as always, for that. And also, I want to reiterate what the player said, which is to please come back for next Sunday when we are going to be here for the Sound Clash, the Clampdown fundraiser with all the amazing games previously mentioned and all these amazing players and a lot of available incentives for chat and things like that. So please head back. We will be posting announcements about the details of that over this week in terms of specific players, although we have most of them already, but all the rest of it is going to be posted there. So otherwise, this crew is going to be back next month, actually, or on the Twitch channel, and we'll be back in audio form very soon. I feel like a Netflix show. You just stick around and you'll hear the next one already. So that'll be happening as well. Once our poor audio editor Rudy gets to edit out the big glitch in the middle when all the power went out for a while. Anyway, thank you so much as always to Valerie, to Iori, who is definitely not spelled with an L. I want it to be clear, not with an L. It says it. I even put gradient on it so everyone can see it's not with an L. Of course, Jeoi, Gawain, Lin, and Mike Underwood, and Brandon O'Brien, the newest co-host of Speculate. So congratulations again, Brandon, and thank you for joining
Thank
us
you so very much.
and all that stuff. And otherwise, wonderful job, crew. Chat, can we get some love for the wonderful players? And thanks, everybody. We will see you here. Actually, I'll see you next week, now that I think of it, for the fundraiser. So see you next week.
Yay.
Bye, all.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. And that is going to do it for today's Blades in the Dark Speculate Twitch session. We hope you enjoyed it. And for those of you who are listening on Speculate, I want to thank everyone for being a part of this and for always checking us out and for supporting us as you have done for these many years. That's actually been running. We started running in 2010. So it is now in its 11th year, I think is what this is. Coming up on 11 years of production, which is bizarre, actually, that it's been running that long, but that's what it's been doing. So, but thank you to everyone from Speculate. Please check us out at speculatesf.com, and please, if you can, support the Patreon as well. The Patreon, which you can see is patreon.com, or you can hear is patreon.com/speculate, where you can get secret and bonus content, in fact, only available to Patreon subscribers. That really does help us make a difference as we kind of move forward, and allows us to hopefully put more shows like this on, because we have other stuff coming down the pike in terms of new shows and new actual play, and then some deep dives into that actual play as the podcast continues. So thank you, everybody, on Speculate, and I'm going to say goodbye to those folks now. And last, I want to thank the wonderful Arvanauts. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, mods, especially for sticking with me as these things were going on. Thanks for nobody panicking. It wasn't... The truth is that actually the power was only out for about 4 seconds here, and then it came back on, and so thankfully my battery backup did its job. OBS did not stop recording and all that stuff. I don't know whether Twitch is going to have taken out that area or not. I don't know whether Twitch is going to have given like 2 separate videos or whatever, but I'll figure that out down the line. Either way, though, thank you for all sticking with us regardless. If you liked what you saw and heard today, please support that Speculate Patreon, because again, it really makes a difference. But also, please support me on my channel as well. Please check out the YouTube with !ArvTube, Discord with !ArvCord, Twitter with !ArvTweets, and the website, arvineleron.com. Of course, following the channel is always a big help as well. And yes, don't panic. That's true, Rock God, for sure. On the financial side, !Arv Shop is my merchandise area where you can get Adventures in Middle-earth material, where you can get D&D with Infinity and Beyond, Curse of Strahd, well, not Curse of Strahd, but I&B material, and where you'll be able to get Esper Genesis material over there soon. Also, you should check out the Patreon, my personal one for this channel, !Arvtreon right there. 22 patrons, 240 per month. That really is the financial backbone of this channel and really can help us. So please consider jumping on board that. You can get cool stuff for yourself as well, including one of those inspirations, which I saw got used today. Arudinel used it, I think, for Skelly. So inspirations, they save lives, people. They save lives. And then last but certainly not least, of course, that sub button. I noticed we had 1 or 2 new people actually jump on board. So thank you for everyone who subbed for the first time to the channel. If you like what you saw here, there's a lot more where that came from. We have a busy tabletop week ahead, as I'll talk about in just a second. On the publishing side, Icarus, for details about my Icarus graphic novel from Athos Arts, just came out in retail. Very excited about that. Library is Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. Very excited about that. Coming out in print very shortly. It's already being printed, just needs to get to us. Greyshade KS is my Greyshade Kickstarter, which is a big, major Kickstarter, board game, RPG, book, audiobook, other things. And that is coming out February 2nd is the launch date for that Kickstarter. So I'm very excited about that. And BLM, Black Lives Matter. We've talked about this quite a bit and will continue to do so. Please check out the resources available to you at that link. There are educational resources for you, for your children. There are also places that you can donate and learn more about political advocacy and things like that, because again, important to assert and affirm the enormous significance and importance of Black lives and to recognize the importance of protecting them at a time when that is not always the case. So any support that you folks can give there is much appreciated. As far as the schedule is concerned, tomorrow we have got Emberwind coming at you at 7 p.m. Eastern with the Ember crew of Marie Bilodeau, with Sod, with Brahms, and with Jen Brozek, and with John Helfers as your GM. That's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then at Tuesday at noon Eastern, you will have yours truly GMing the intrepid crew of Trendane, Terry Toons, of Amal Elmatar, and of Brad Bollier for Adventures of Middle-earth Erebor Adventures. That's going to be awesome. At 4 p.m. Eastern, we have got D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder with Mike Smith, with Pyron Jade, with Darksaber 2K, and with Tasty Chai. Very excited to continue to bring that crew into the latter portions of Storm King's Thunder. It's been running for a while, but it's moving towards the home stretch basically now of that campaign. Then on Wednesday, we've got Tuesday night, I forgot to mention, we have the Arvocalists with Paper Mario the Origami King, which has been a lot of fun if you haven't had a chance to check that out. Then on Wednesday, we have Community D&D with the Shadow Crew, with Rock God in chat, with Trifid Emats in chat, with Hoodie, and with Echo Alpha X5, and of course with Shadowed Mage as your DM for that. That'll be starting at, I believe, 9 p.m. Eastern this Wednesday for Dragon of Icespire Peak. Thursday, we'll be off. Friday, we have got Esper Genesis, again with yours truly, with Carlos Hernandez, Kat Rambo, with Zach Clay, and with Johnny Pittman as players. Very excited to continue that campaign, which has been getting crazy go nuts. And then on Saturday, we have the actual epic conclusion, not quite the epic conclusion that we planned originally, but the epic conclusion, the face-off with Strahd. And that's going to be happening on Saturday, this coming Saturday, so it's going to be pretty awesome. And then Sunday, last but certainly not least, we have the amazing Sound Clash the Clampdown fundraiser with a ton of games that we've already talked about. There'll be some Tales from the Loop in there. We've got something by Nathan Blades on All Frequencies, a micro RPG written by Nathan Blades. We have also got at the very end Negocios Infernales with Carlos Hernandez, CSA Cooney, and then several other players as well. So you're going to get a lot of the cool people that show up on Sundays for that. And we are hoping to raise some money again to support both funds for an intro video and music, but also to be able to support a possible audio editing on a somewhat longer term basis. That is the hope. And so we're going to see how we can do. It's a one day fundraiser on Sunday, and one day Sunday, now that I think of it. And so we're hoping that's what's going to happen. And then once that's done, then we are into a more staid portion of the month, so to speak, as we move forward, setting up for what's going to be a very busy and awesome end of year month of December. But that is going to do it for me for today. We are going to raid someone today, and the raids are pretty simple here. If you are not a sub, you're going to do this. The Argonauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid, lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. Oh, this says Kalen's Court. Kalen is Mini Arv's actual name. This was made. The short version of this is that my daughter, Little Arv, is named after a character from my first novel, The Third Sign. And so in the book, she's a princess. And so my father-in-law had a bunch of shirts made saying Princess, my daughter's name, Senevine. It's not really that hard. Princess Senevine. And then, so he also had a chance to get a bunch of shirts made when my son was born and called it Kalen's Court. Now, there is also, this is named after a character in my first novel also, except that Kalen is not a prince in the book. So it doesn't totally make sense, but, you know, what can I say? So anyway, that is what I'm wearing is Kalen's Court. Anyway, but yes, so Arv Raid, that is if you are not a sub. If you are a sub, you're going to do this. I thought so too, Crit Twitch. It was cool. It was just one of those things where I'm like, oh, people are gonna be like, is that Prince Kalen? No, not a prince, a different kind of thing. But in any case, I like it because it has my son's name on it. So, sub raid. If you were a sub, you should get, once you're brought over automagically, you're going to get that. Arvany Hype, Arvanauts have landed, Twitch raid, and of course, Arvany Roar. And you could throw in some Arvany Smugs, Arvany Loves, Arvany Woes, Arvany Witches, if you want to do that as well. But that is going to do it, let's see, for me. Let me just double check quickly and see who we have got, because I think I know exactly who we're going to raid, but just bear with me 1 second. Gonna see you 1 second. Hey, gonna be 1 second. Yep. I know exactly who it's going to be. Cool. So we're all set to go. I want to thank everyone who was here tonight. Thank you to my mods again. Arudinel, Dragon Spear, Rock God, Triffid Mats. Thank you. Great work from the mods as always. Thank you to my subscribers, Arudinel, Dragon Spear, Rock God, Triffid Mats. Thank you to Crit Twitch, to Prince Justin, to the Rising Tides, and to Turbo Tango. Thank you to my 2 co-hosts, Brandon O'Brien and Mike Underwood, respectively. And thank you also, GMing, of course, for the amazing crew tonight. Thank you, Brandon, as always. Thank you to my viewers, ECAG, Gorgar, Jagtris. Thank you to Let's Do This Music, which is totally not a bot. Thank you to Lurks, not a bot either. Thank you to Mrs. Dunsole, nonstop. Thank you to Radmus. Thank you to The Kids Are Asleep. I know who that is, also a player in our campaign. And you, Christensen. Thank you so much to all of you, and especially thanks to Iori, to Jeoi, to Valerie, to Mike, and of course to Brandon for the wonderful entertainment this evening. Otherwise, I'm out of here. Stick around for the raid, and I will see you lovely folks tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern for Emberwind with the Ember crew as we continue our epic week of tabletop play. Until then, everyone be good to each other. Have a good night.